Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for the opportunity that you gave us to present this solution, before you. Can you just- I'm Karun Babu from Cloud Yogi Sales Group, and this is Margaret Roche. She is going to present the technical, architecture of the proposal that we're going to make, and Pasquale Paddy, he is going to present the transition and the delivery of this proposal, and Thomas is going to talk about the finance. Vikram is going to talk about the legal and the security, things associated with this proposal. Let's go to the next one. So today's agenda is going to talk about the current situation that we have, for which we are proposing a solution, and Margaret is going to talk about the technical architecture of the solution itself, and we're going to present a project plan and the timing of the implementation of the project, and we're going to discuss about the one-time cost that's involved and the annual operating cost that's involved. We're going to talk about the security of deploying this application in the cloud, and Vikram is going to talk about why we are the best choice for you guys. The current situation is that the crime investigation is hobbled by the antiquated technology or the mainframe computing environment that the NYCD currently has. Nearly 7 million transactions are processed a day, and the system does not have enough capacity to keep more than 3 months worth of data online. So after 3 months, the information is actually moved out to a tape archive library, and any kind of reports that need to be run against that data need to be brought back into the system before you can run reports against it. Due to this, the manual intervention is required to restore data from the archive tapes, and then run it, from the online storage. Reports are produced by, writing COBOL programs and submitting the COBOL programs using JCL as batch jobs. And, this involves like highly skilled mainframe programmers to create customized reports. So users are not able to get ad hoc reports or custom reports, as they need. Let's go to the next one. So our estimate is that we are losing like $400,000 dollars per year, as Margaret was mentioning, every year because of vandalizing of the machines, and around $260,000 in revenues because of the theft and the inability for. On the bus side, we are not able to run proper reports because the data need to be reloaded into the DB2 database, and then run the report. And this becomes very tedious, and the only way they can run reports is only for going back up to 9 months with the canned reports. So the proposal is going to address this issue by providing ad hoc report capability so that users can run whatever reports and queries as they need. The slow turnaround time to create custom reports is making it very difficult for the user department to reconcile the revenue information in a timely manner. And Margaret is going to talk about the technical architecture of the product.
The proposed solution is an SAP HANA 1 data warehouse. It will be hosted on a virtual private cloud in an Amazon Web Services data center. The virtual private cloud adds an extra layer of protection to 2 firewalls at AWS, one from Vormetric and a web application firewall from Imperva. All the data transfers are encrypted, as is the data in the database. The mainframe will run daily batch jobs that will extract the usage and sales data and send flat files to AWS over a secure VPN connection. SAP Data Services will extract the bus data from the mainframe using SQL and will also use SFTP. An ETL tool will extract, transform, and load all of the data from the MTA data center to AWS. Cloud Yogis will write a front end in .NET, which will serve up our dashboards, ad hoc query facility, and crystal reports. SAP HANA in the cloud is a great solution because it's fast. Data loads and reports run in real time rather than hours and days. It can handle both structured and unstructured data. SAP HANA is made for complex data analysis and can run on many major cloud providers. This reduces the risk of vendor lock-in. SAP HANA is a proven solution for high-performance data analytics on big data apps. It is widely used in the private sector, in retail, banking, defense, aviation, healthcare, and by eBay. It is used for capturing big data and strategic planning. If it works for this audience, it will work for us. I now will introduce Pasquale, our Transition and Delivery Manager, who will discuss the project plan.
Thank you. Here's an overview of the project plan. It's going to be about 7 months. It's divided into 4 phases. Proof of concept, the design and build, migrate and test and optimize. And here's the key events or activities. And in the bottom you'll see the price averaging over that period. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I just want to go over the financial aspect of this project. As you know, every business costs money. Any project that we do, it costs money. And it is important to know how you spend the money and where to spend the money, how you effectively spend the money. It is very important. As you can see this chart, it is one chart that we provided. It give you an overall cost and operating cost and a one-time cost. And we choose the HANA cluster server for the production environment, QA environment, and the development environment, which you see this cost on that particular chart. And also we using a storage devices are also on the production side and disaster recovery side, and the backup side, it costs around $2,959, as you can see it in that chart. And of course, you know the bandwidth, you need communication, and it costs money, and that is about $780. And security, we use an outside vendor. It's called Warmetric, and it's installed at 2 appliances. That costs about $20,000 an annual operating cost. And VPN to load the data to the cloud, that costs about $19 a year. And the security for the web application, that cost around $9,400. And the business object license, 15 users, that cost $9,750. Development and support cost about $100,000. Total cost and operating cost is $196,997. And one-time cost, the Warmetric and that Warmetric appliances, that's $100,000, and the web application firewall $50,000, and the business objects license $44,318, and the development and support one-time cost $200,000. Overall, one-time cost is $318. So I just want to invite our security expert, Vikram, to give you further details about security and the legal aspect.
Thank you, Thomas. I'm going to talk about security in a second, but I also want to just summarize what we've said so far as follows. You're looking at a one-time cost of about $400,000. You're looking at an ongoing cost of about $200,000. And if you remember from Margaret's presentation, the payback, the money that's at risk here is about $1.5 million. So if we can even reduce that by 50% in terms of theft and fraud, we're actually paying for this many times over as the years progress. So security is an important thing. If you could just flip back to the, yeah. So what do you look for when you look for security? You look for transparency, which in essence in this context means interoperability. It's the ability for the solution to work with the many different components of the infrastructure that are going to be out there. You obviously want the security to work, so it has to be strong. You want it to be efficient, so you don't want it to create a lot of overhead on top of your data transmission and the business function you're performing, and you want it to be easy to manage, and you want it to be audit proof. So the solution we've provided, which is Vormetric, which is a security appliance, essentially meets all of those criteria. The Vormetric data firewall, and I'll show you a picture in a second, essentially plugs into your data center, and it also connects to your virtual private cloud. So it connects to the virtual operating system at the Amazon site, and it allows you the ability to control access through policies, so not on a user by user nitpick basis. It provides encryption and key management to keep all your encryption keys secure, so on site. And it provides you intelligence. I mentioned audit trail earlier, so it logs and creates an audit trail of all the functions that it's performing. The installation is very easy, so it's almost a self-install. Once you purchase the solution, you turn it on and it goes. And the most important thing is, for our solution, it works in a multi-tenancy environment, right? So we're going to be in a multi-tenant environment at Amazon Web Services, and this thing functions in a multi-tenant environment. It doesn't require dedicated hardware. Next slide, please. This is kind of a picture of what this solution will look like. Vormetric is essentially, as I said, the appliance over there. You use the Vormetric Security Manager, and it's connected to your enterprise network, the MTA network, and then this is the Amazon network that isn't really showing very well defined in this graphic, but the Vormetric appliance essentially provides a virtual connection between the two and secures it. Next slide, please. I wanted to spend some time talking about the other options that you could have considered, and we considered as a solution for you. And if you think of the common sort of big data analytic solutions, you have to think about Teradata, which is a massively parallel processing solution that is very popular in many industries. Overall, we found it to be a great solution for an on-premise solution, but their cloud offering really isn't that mature, and so they're having a hard time keeping up with kind of all the advances in technology, as well as being very expensive. If you look at Microsoft, which is another solution, SQL Server is a very well-known database, but in terms of the performance of SQL Server versus SAP HANA, there really is no comparison. Azure also doesn't offer as wide a range of CPUs, operating systems, and memory as Amazon does. So we really think that the best solution for MTA to put this SAP HANA 1 deployment in is Amazon, and we would love to be your partner to do that. Doing nothing, I think, is not an option. With the advances in technology, that's always something you want to ask. Why do I need to do something? Mainframes are getting more and more difficult to operate with every passing day. Finding talent that knows how to do JCL and COBOL is going to be increasingly challenging, and everybody wants to kind of move on to working with the cool new stuff. Next slide, please. As I said, we would be delighted to be a partner in taking you through this journey. Each of our Cloud Yogis is a certified Cloud Master from the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Our mission is all about providing reliable, cost-effective, and service that provides value to you. And hopefully you've seen that this is a solution that's going to generate tangible cash for the MTA year in, year out. We're built on top of Amazon Web Services, which is the most mature cloud provider there is out there. They've been at it the longest. They're rated one of the top 3 cloud providers by Forrester Research, and they're at the top of the list at the Gartner Magic Quadrant. There's a statistic out there that's kind of interesting that Amazon has more capacity in the cloud than all 14 of its closest competitors combined. So that certainly is something that should give you confidence in what we're picking. As I mentioned earlier, broad range of platforms offered. They're continuously innovating. They've got maturity in being able to serve enterprise customers like the MTA. So they've worked with Bristol-Myers Squibb. They've worked with Illumina Genetics, which is a leading genetics company, and they are the provider behind Netflix. So Netflix has chosen them as their provider, and if Netflix, with the kind of volume they handle, will choose Amazon, I'm not sure we should kind of question that choice. The last but not least, this team has collectively over 100 years of experience working at the MTA. So we bring a lot of domain knowledge, which we will factor in and minimize the effort on your part to kind of teach us your business as we go through and design the solution. So with that, I'll end, and I'll ask if you have any questions. Our team is happy to address them. Thank you.
Have you had an experience with this type of projects before? I understand you're working with MT, but what kind of projects did you cover before?
That's an excellent question. Some of us have worked in the retail space before, so Colgate Palmolive would be one of our clients that we worked with before. And after we implemented SAP HANA for them, their reporting times went from days to seconds. Another company we worked with is in China. It's the largest bottled water company in China. They've also chosen this over an Oracle solution that they had previously, and the results have been equally amazing. You can actually see some of the testimonials on the SAP HANA website of some of the work that we've done. Any other questions?
Question about, recently there's been news about that there are fare box collection on select bus services that have increased dramatically. I don't know if you heard about that or not. But if you are in a select bus environment where you are not letting the customer swipe the Metro card and you're pre-printing a ticket before getting into a bus, and people who are not printing the tickets and just jumping into the bus and evade the fare, how do you incorporate that into something like that?
This does not, fare evasion on buses is a $50 million problem every year.
Margaret?
It is a totally different problem. And we have the problem because who is going to enforce the collection of fares? The bus driver. And we know that when bus drivers do this, they get assaulted. One guy was shot. It's the policy of the transit authority that if someone doesn't pay the fare on the bus, they just press a key and they log it. This is a very big problem. Maybe we could address it in a future phase.
That's a good question. Thank you, Margaret. Clark, you were about to ask a question.
I was just thinking in terms of the data that you're collecting and storing. Is there any personal identifiable information? It's strictly transactional?
It's strictly transactional, so it comes to the mainframe clean and ready for us to pick up. The main challenge we're addressing, of course, is the mainframe doesn't make the data available at your fingertips to analyze. So I think the scenario that Margaret may have talked about in her executive pitch to you of where somebody's vandalizing a machine and then using their all-inclusive card to essentially sell rides and take money away from the MTA, to be able to catch that in real time would be really phenomenal, wouldn't it? It would really discourage these guys from doing the vandalization because there's going to be a cop there in 2 seconds to pick them up if that's what they're doing, because we can pinpoint it in real time or near real time.
Wouldn't you be having like how often are you loading data from the mainframe to the cloud?
That's a good question. So currently we've structured it for a daily batch job. So we probably couldn't. We do. But I think as you evolve your mainframe environment and stop using that as the hub to collect the data, I think we could do that real-time capability. So I think this is a first step towards capturing some value. Something we didn't mention today, but we've mentioned previously, is once you've got the data in HANA, you can do so much more with it, because operational planning for route optimization, you can put mesh different data sets together and see where's the demand coming from and where your routes are running, and see where you've got under utilization and where you've got under capacity. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Terrific. When might
Lori has a question.
Lori.
What's your role, Lori?
I'm the service delivery manager.
Ask
Okay.
about that.
What guarantees can you give for when the service isn't delivered or when there's downtime in your contract?
That's a very good question. So we have a service level agreement that we will guarantee 99 point.
Let somebody else
Oh.
answer. Somebody else rise to the occasion.
I'm the chief bottle washer,
okay,
so.
okay.
No, go ahead. Anybody else want to address the question?
Yeah, we will, sign up a service level agreement with you and make sure that we meet your, expectations and do everything we can.
Yes, downtime should be very minimal because HANA loads data very fast, so if a site goes down, we can fail over within an hour.
Talk about chef.
Thank you.
We were just going to.
Go to talk about chef. Answer the question with chef.
Pardon?
Answer the